What is up, guys? Blake Simpson Gaming, back again. It's been a long time. It's like the second time that I've stopped for a pretty long time on the channel here, but it's alright. I brought you guys a pretty big project here. This is a brand new, all custom 2K My League with 30 totally created teams. That's every single player in here. Some of them look like old players, like, here, let's see if one will load. Like, that's clearly a player from some time throughout history, and a couple of them look like current players, but you know what, that's okay. Like, that dude was clearly, you know, if you know, you know. But that's better than having them all look super generic and everything, so it's totally fun. But we have 30 brand new teams, all rebranded. They're not all relocated, but they are all rebranded. And I have created one player on every team. So for instance, first team here, Rob Duncan. Rob Duncan is the first player I'll be introducing you guys to. There are 30 players because there are 30 teams, and we put a player on each team. I have messed around with all sorts of different My Leagues, figuring out what's the best way to do this, like how to, like if I needed 30 or 36 teams, how I wanted to do the schedule and everything. So for starters, first season, we're playing a 29 game season. I wanted a short, competitive season, kind of like the NFL. I don't want the 82 game schedule. The videos will be coming out. Each video will cover a week of highlights. So in every video, you'll see all the games that I watched or played, and we'll get into more of that later, and you'll just see the highlights from all the games. Each created player is from 91 overall, I think is the lowest, to 96, but I would not look too much into overalls. They're all have nothing to do with their actual overalls, and the teams have been handpicked and balanced the best way we could. Each team has pretty much like a big three, sorta. Like in this one, you can, I mean, it'd be Rob Duncan here, and then the shooting guardman. You can kind of pick your third one, but each player definitely has two players over 80 overall, and the rest pretty much fall. There's a couple teams with 380s, but it should be a pretty competitive season. But like I said, you don't want to look too much into overalls, because some of these guys have some crazy good badges and stuff like that. Like, they're all pretty well, they all have the opportunity to win like MVP or defensive player, stuff like that, but they all have their strengths, they don't have their weaknesses. So after year one, every single created player is on a 1-year deal, and they will all sign contracts with the team that they're with right now based on how they performed in week one, or not week one, year one. And after, we're going to try and get them on a 2-year contract with a 3rd-year player option, and we'll try and fly through these seasons for the most part. And after that, then it's fair game. Everybody's fair game. We're going to try and keep them all separated for the most part here at the beginning to see really what they're all meant for, and then we can start pairing them up later and probably build some super teams. But for right now, we want it to be competitive and just all balanced. But all these other created players, I downloaded some rosters. So I don't know who made this roster, but thank you very much for the roster. All those other guys are fair game in free agency. Like, I think they're all on 1 or 2 year deals as well. So after that, they can all get moved, and we'll try to keep them all decently separated. We don't want any super teams in year 2. The trading system, because I'm controlling, obviously I'm using every team in here. So the trading system, if I see any trades that I think might be good, like if I see that this team has 3 centers that are all decent, I might try and get rid of one and stuff like that, but there probably won't be too much of that in week 1 or 2. But that is pretty much it for the way the league's going to work. I am going to play a game per day. So like this first game, I'll pick one of these 2 games to show you guys, and I'll player lock as the player I made, and I'll play and show you the highlights, and I'll show you the highlights from the other player too. Like, I think this one, there's a point guard that plays for the team on the left and a power forward that plays for the team on the right, and we'll get into who those are later. But I'll play through the game as one of the 2, player locked, and I'll show you all the highlights from their stuff. Anything crazy I see, the game comes down to the wire, I'll show the last couple minutes and stuff like that. But so I'll play a game per day. So I'll play one of these 2. I don't think there's any games on. Yeah, so then I'll pick one of these 3, and it'll be totally fair because I'm only going to play as every team. I'm going to play as every team the same amount of times. I mean, I might play as every team 3 times. I might play as every team twice. I don't know yet. We'll have to see how it goes. But I'm also going to play against every team the same amount of times. If that makes any sense. Like I'm not gonna play the Hustlers here 5 times in 2 weeks and really hurt their record. I'm gonna play everybody an equal amount of times, the best that I can. And then in the playoffs, once the playoffs start, I'm not going to use anybody. I'll just let them go from there. But I'm going to try and play the best way that I think that they would play. Like Rob Duncan, the first guy that we're going to introduce you here to, is a pure rebounder. As you can see, the Paint Beast thing. He's got no shooting ability whatsoever, like literally none. Not much passing, but he's good defensively and he's a good rebounder. He's like a Hassan Whiteside type, if you could call him that, a little more athletic. And he is our first player. He's from England. He'll qualify for the world team and everything. He's a big man, 7'1", I believe. So he should be exciting here in Philadelphia. I mean, lots of rebounds coming his way. Might probably a rebounding champ if I had to take a guess. If he's got any shot at any of these awards. Like I said, every single person in here though could win MVP, and they're all kind of based off of somebody. A couple of them I just made my friends and put them in here. There's a couple of those too, but they all have some sort of archetype. Like Alan Smith, the next one here, playing for the Milwaukee Wolfpack, kind of like this logo and all that good stuff. He is a mid-range and inside specialist, and of course, like when I say inside mid-range specialist, I mean, don't get me wrong, he can hit threes, just not at an elite level as some of these other guys that I'm going to show you. But that's where he'll be doing most of his work, is there and then on the defensive end. So then after him, we have the 5'8" point guard in Will Trust. Loved making him. Look at that little man. Number 24, playing for the Chicago Enforcers. They have some pretty bland uniforms, but I thought the whole concept of their team was pretty cool. Most of the players are about 95 overall. I have a couple 91s and a couple just barely above 95, like 96, but that's the highest it goes. And you may think that the 91s are not much of a shot here in year one, but the 91s have a lot of versatility. And like I said, I did try and balance out the rest of their teams as well, to go along with like their skill sets and everything. Like I think the lowest system proficiency I have in any of these teams is like 4 stars or 3.5 stars, which is pretty dang good. But Will Trust can do just about everything. Great. He's going to be a good passer. He's going to be a really good shooter. Going to be a good ISO player offensively. Defensively, obviously, he's a liability. He's 5'8", and he's not going to obviously be rebounding much because, once again, he's 5'8". So, I mean, if he was 6'7", he'd be the greatest player of all time, but he's not. So here on the Cincinnati Bulldogs, the Australian Chuck Armstrong, once he loads, Chuck Armstrong is an absolute bucket. Don't ask how I made any of these players. It was all pretty much randomized. I just kind of had Siri pick numbers and letters and stuff like that, so it was kind of fun. Like I said, a couple of my best of my friends, but Chuck here is definitely not. But this dude I've made to be like, if there's a really, really good 3-and-D player, like if Danny Green could really, really shoot and could really, really play defense, that's old Chuck Armstrong here. Next up, Parker Puff. If I had to compare him to any player, it'd be Russell Westbrook. He doesn't have a whole lot of 3 ability, but he can drive and he can put people on posters all day long. He might be a nightly triple-double. 6'4" at the point guard position, a little oversized. A lot of height, a lot of stuff he can do, a lot of passes he can make, a lot of stuff he can do. He's a good mid-range shooter, not a great 3-point shooter. He should be pretty good. Here for the Boston Hilltoppers. And then that last team was the Cincinnati Bulldogs, in case I didn't let you guys know about that. I don't know if I said that name or not. Next up for the Anaheim Royals, we have Kenny Dimes, which kind of worked out because as soon as I made him and I got the last name Dimes, knew instantly he was going to be a passer. I mean, it just has to be. I don't know how you can be named Dimes and not be a Magic Johnson level passer. So Kenny Dimes, another guy that'll be doing a lot of his work in the mid-range and then obviously passing. He's a good finisher too. I mean, he's not elite level finisher, but he is definitely an elite level passer. He'll be throwing some lobs, might be even catching a couple. Yeah, he should be pretty fun to watch, as he's got some good guys to pass to. Next up, Ivan Heinsohn. from Russia. Big man. Definitely prototype like Porzingis. That is definitely who he is. He will be like. It's Kristaps Porzingis. He's a shooter and he can block shots. Other than that, he's, I mean, not a good passer. He's not a great rebounder for his size either, but he'll probably rack up a few. But yeah, that'll be his role, sending shots back and hitting threes. After him, we have Reggie George. Reggie George. Reggie George is probably the most, like, I don't know, he's probably the most out of position player I have, or that I made. He's a super good rebounder, really, I mean, way better than what he should be for a small forward. But he doesn't have a whole lot of shooting ability or passing ability. He's just good defensively and good rebounding, and he's a freak athletically. So he should be super fun to watch, but I wouldn't want him taking the last shot. After him, we have Achille Antonov, playing for the Miami Flamingos out of Switzerland. Those nice pink uniforms. Let me know which logo and team you guys like the best, as well as which archetype you're most excited to see here. Achille is a big man. He's 7 foot, like 310, I think. If you couldn't guess what he's prototyped after, it's definitely Jokic. I want him to be a good passer, not much of a dunker, or a rebounder for that matter, just a really good passer and shooter out of the post. He's only a 92, but I would not sleep on him at all. He is probably going to be a beast along with the rest of these guys. After him, we have another center, and Akibano Shung. Akibano Shung is from Japan, playing for the Carolina Cougars. With the Apple jersey sponsor. I didn't realize that when I first downloaded these jerseys. Yeah, these are all downloaded jerseys too. So if you made one of these jerseys, I don't know how you'd be watching this video, but thank you again. Akibano Shang is a very strong, very big man. He's like 350. Went into like a former sumo type wrestler type guy. You got to have some intriguing guys in here with some sort of backstories that go with their character. But he is pure power. I mean, back down punisher, rebounding machine. He's a little undersized at center. I think he's only 6'9 or 6'10, but pure strength. Pure strength. Next we got for the Utah Buzz. Not the Jazz anymore, they're the Buzz. Is DeAndre Johnson. And DeAndre Johnson was wanted to be like a nightly triple-double as well, almost like a LeBron James type, just not anywhere near as good as LeBron, obviously, because LeBron's not a 94. But he can pass a little bit, he can shoot a little bit, he can rebound a little bit, and he can defend a little bit. He's the most all-around player in here for sure, so if that's your thing, DeAndre Johnson definitely needs to be your key player, because he can do everything well, but nothing so well that it's like what he's considered known for. After that, we got the Sacramento Sting, not the King, the Sting, and Brian Williams. Brian Williams is definitely the best passer at the forward position, an incredible rebounder as well. He's pretty athletic, can finish inside, but not much of a shooter at all. Not a great defender either. So those are his strengths and weaknesses, but he should be pretty good as well. Like I said, they all should be pretty good. And when I say that, I mean, there's some of his weakness. He's still better than the average player. He's just not elite at that skill yet. Next up for the New York Skyliners is my fan favorite. I loved making this man, Jean-Francis from France. He is a whopping 7'7", the tallest height in the game, and it just made sense for him to play for the New York Skyliners because this man is practically a building. Pretty slim at 7'7", like almost like a Manute Bol type. Can't do much besides be 7'7". He can't shoot, can't pass. But one thing, I mean, what else could you possibly need at the height of 7'7"? So who will be kind of is basketball, or is height really all you need in basketball kind of question player? I mean, he has to have the fro just to make him look that much more giant. He will be very fun to watch, mostly because he's so goofy looking. After him, for the San Diego Sharks, we have Quentin Pope. And Quentin Pope, instead of 3 and D, he's like 3 and dunks. He is very athletic, can fly out of the gym, and can shoot the 3 at a very high rate. But besides that, I mean, he's just athletic defensively. He's not going to be doing much crazy defending, besides maybe getting a chase down every once and again, just based off his pure athleticism, and maybe a putback, a very much an excitement player. He should be very, very fun to watch along with the rest of these guys. And now, in Orlando for the Apollos, and I do realize that the Orlando Apollos and the Atlanta Legends were both AAF teams. I don't care, I like the logos, they're not teams anymore, I can steal it. As far as I'm concerned, no copyright laws are being infringed, we're fine. Hayden Oakley. In Orlando, the big man, a little undersized at center too. He's only like 6'10 or 6'11. Not super strong, not super athletic, but this man is a bucket for his height. He is like if Kevin Durant put on about 50 pounds and started playing center. As he can shoot and shoot and shoot, but that is about it. I mean, he's a rebounder because he's a center, but other than that, I mean, he's not anywhere near an elite level rebounder or defender, but he should be putting up some pretty big numbers on a nightly basis in the points column. After him, we have the 6'9" point forward, Lamar Shelton, playing for the Dallas Wranglers. This guy can do everything except shoot. He is a Ben Simmons type, only 91 overall, tied for the lowest on here, but I would not sleep on him at all. Like I said, I have played with each and every one of these guys before in some tryout league to make sure that I got all the kinks out of the system and everything, and this man is a dog. Of course, being able to post up point guards all day is easy peasy lemon squeezy for this dude because he's 6'9". If he's posting up somebody like Will Trust that he's got a foot of height on, he's easily scoring in the paint all day, and he is fast at his 6'9" position, ready to put people on posters in the break. A very, very good player. Next up is Evan Stone. Pretty much almost the polar opposite. This man is a sheer shooter. He was made to be that ISO type player, that James Harden type, to hit the game-winning shots and do all that stuff, but probably hog the ball for most of the game. But I mean, hey, if he drops 40 a night, then who really cares, right? After him, we have the Denver Goblins. Oh, I guess I should say these team names. After the Apollos, we got the Dallas Wranglers, which I thought was a pretty cool concept. The Brooklyn Cobras, who have some very cool uniforms, and the Denver Goblins. The Denver Goblins have Wade Cage, who is the definition of athleticism. I don't know why I couldn't get the headband and the other arm sleeve to be the right color. He has another arm sleeve on his left arm there, and it's the right color, but the other two I just could not figure out. So if you know that, then you can drop that down below so I can get those the right color where they actually match the uniform. They're not just white like that. But Wade Cage is, if you looked athleticism up in the dictionary, this man is another one of those excitement players. Can drive around pretty much anybody and slam it. I mean, can shoot a little bit, but not very much. And is going to be looking for steals for some fast break slams. And he's very much an excitement player, like I said. After that, we're shifting over to Indianapolis. See what I did there? Shifting over to Indianapolis shift. Yeah, we got Jerry Foster, who is the highest overall in the league, which surprised me big time when I first made him, because he is not a shooter either. He is sheer defense. He is defense, defense, defense. Don't get me wrong, there's not a person in here that could probably score on this man 2 times in a row, but at the same time, he's probably not scoring on anybody 2 times in a row either. He's pretty athletic, but he's not a good scorer at all. He's a decent finisher, could maybe post up a pretty bad defender, but other than that, not a whole lot going on with him except some crazy good defense. Next we have Midas Khan, playing for I forget the city the Pandas are in. Is it New Orleans? I believe it's New Orleans. The New Orleans Pandas, I got it right. Playing for the New Orleans Pandas is Midas Khan, from the great country of Germany. This man is another super athletic man. He's got a little bit of mid-range ability and some great passing, but not a whole lot of defense. That's where his downfall is. I mean, he's a decent rebounder. He's a 6'10" power forward, so I mean, he's got to be somewhat decent rebounding, but definitely not his strong suit. But he should be a playmaking slasher for sure. Next up, we got the Detroit Titans. The Detroit Titans have big center Doug White, coming in at 6'11" from the College of Texas. This man will post up anybody. Big time post moves. He can hit the fade, he can drop step, he can back you down. But other than that, not really great. Can hit some very few mid-range jumpers, no threes for sure. An alright defender and rebounder because he is 6'11", but he is pure post, a very much back-to-basket big, like that of Al Jefferson. And he should be very interesting to watch in this new age of basketball. As now we have the Huskies, the Toronto Huskies. And their star will be Owen Bradley, who is another very much defensive-minded player at the shooting guard position, who can also shoot a little bit, rebound a little bit, but not do anything really that well except for play defense. He should be getting a lot of steals, creating a lot of fast break opportunities for his teams, and maybe catching a body or two in the break. And then for the Predators, we have Kevin Ball, name inspired by the great man from Shameless, if you've ever seen that show, but he looks nothing like him. Kevin Ball is a pass first point for sure, like that of John Stockton or a very short Magic Johnson. He can definitely shoot a little bit, and he'll definitely be knocking down a 3 or 2 each game, but he is definitely a pass first minded point, wanting to throw the lob or drop a dime between somebody's legs each and every game. And we might be seeing him in the opening week, because I think he's got the first game on the docket. Next we move to the San Antonio Brigade. I thought was another pretty cool jersey concept, team concept. And we have DeJuan Jones. DeJuan Jones is a man that came from the biggest high school, one of the biggest high schools in Indiana, known as Ben Davis, and went to play offensive line at Ohio State. But he is a crazy good basketball player. I went to watch him play in a semi-state game against current IU center Trace Jackson Davis, and watched him block that man at least 3 or 4 times in the whole game, and one of them was a very hard block off the glass. He is quite the basketball player. He had several D1 offers, but instead went to play football. But he is living out his possible NBA dream here in my little custom league that we do not quite have a name for yet, but it probably will be in the title, so you probably know what it is. DeJuan, very strong. Like I said, he plays O-line, very quick for his size. He's 6'9" and a whopping 320. Incredibly strong. I mean, I know I've mentioned it like 3 times already, but crazy strong. Very athletic for his size. Can hit some mid-range faders and stuff, and can block some shots, but not really a great rebounder or passer. But you don't really need to be when you can bench press cars. And then for the Arizona Blaze, B.J. Riley is Sham God McGee. This man, handles jumpers all day. Another ISO player for sure. And they're not really going to be looking to share the rock. He's a little bit better defensively than that of Evan Stone, but a little bit worse offensively. But he is definitely going to be hitting some clutch buckets for his team, as he might be a nightly 30 points as well. Then for the Oklahoma City Bison, pretty much the polar opposite in the Chinese player Lu Feng. This dude is a speed and tempo player for sure, all defense, with some great finishing, very fast, the fastest player in here. This will be looking to strip the ball from people and get a lot of easy fast break points. That will be his bread and butter. Next for the Minnesota Moose, fear those antlers, we have Cy Gilbert. Loving this with the Steve Nash hair. Gotta love it. He will be a 3-way scorer. He'll be able to do it in the post. He's got some good back down stuff, some good spin moves, good fader, good mid-range shot. You can't put him at the line. He'll make threes, or not threes, free throws all day, but he will also make threes all day. But he is not a great rebounder, terrible passer, and kind of a liability defensively. But man, can this guy score from that 4 position. Very much a stretch. Next we have for the Portland Pioneers, one of the friends that I put in the game, in Denzel Spears, coming out of Michigan City. This man is 6'6", and he is a walking bucket. Not like those of Evan Stone or B.J. Armstrong, where he's going to try and get some ISO play. He wants to come off screens and do everything for his team, get those clutch buckets. He'll be dropping in quite a few, I am sure. I'm ready to see what he has this coming season. Next for the Oakland Town Hawks. Very cool name, I thought. We have Xander Myers. This power forward is pretty much if Doug White played or power forward. He is very much a back-to-basket big, with some mid-range game, but no 3-game. A little bit of defensive play, no passing whatsoever, and a little bit of athleticism. He should be pretty exciting to see, because he just looks like raw power. And last but certainly not least, we have my good friend and cousin, Mason Charles Boyd. What a man. He has played CSGO with me before and Rainbow, and he's coming to 2K as a player. Very good 3-point shooter. Good rebounder for his size. Going to be looking to put quite a few people on posters. Little undersized for the NBA, just 6 foot, but I'm sure that will not be slowing him down at all. Because that will conclude our introduction video here. We'll have August 22nd through 27th, and the first episode is for all the highlights from week 1, this brand new league. But thank you guys so much for watching this introduction video. I'll hopefully see all of you guys in week 1. So, bye bye.